This has got to be one of the simplest install and configuration videos I've ever done.
Stick around and we'll get right to it.
Hey, welcome back guys, Jason, KM4ACK. I've introduced you to Graywolf APRS. Now it's time to show you how to get it installed and configured. Today I'll be using a Raspberry Pi Zero, but you can use almost any computer you want to run this. He's got it available for a wide variety of platforms. One thing to keep in mind as you're watching this is filmed in the spring of 2026, and this is a rapidly developing project. If you're watching this 6 months or a year later, things have likely changed. All right, let's go ahead and get to the computer and get going.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and SSH into the Raspberry Pi that's running the Lite version of Pi OS, and I am running the 64-bit version of the Pi OS. So let's get logged in here. And once you get logged in, the first thing you want to run, now I've already done this, but you do want to run sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. This will get everything updated and upgraded on your Raspberry Pi, so you've got the very latest version of all of the basic things that come installed with the Raspberry Pi. Now, you don't have to use a Raspberry Pi. You could use an x86 machine. That's a good thing about Graywolf, is they put out the packages for a lot of different flavors of Linux. So choose the one that's appropriate for you, but today we will be working with that Pi Zero 2W. I'm on Graywolf's GitHub page. I'll leave a link to that down in the description below. You can also find that at k8mrdiswrong.com. Right down here under the APRS apps, you'll see there's a link to it right there as well. Once you're on this page, we're going to come over to Releases. We'll go ahead and click on that. And in this case, since we're running the Raspberry Pi, we're going to look for this version right here that ends in arm64.deb. Now I'm just going to right click on that and say copy the link. Now let's go ahead and head back over to the terminal window. I'm going to run the ls command just to show you that we have nothing else in that directory right now. We'll use wget and paste in that link that we just copied. Give that just a couple of seconds to download. It's a pretty small file, so it doesn't take very long at all to get it downloaded to your box. Once that's done, I'm going to clear the screen. We'll run ls again, and you'll see that we've got the file right there. So this time we're going to run sudo space dpkg space -i, and then start typing in that file name and then hit tab to autocomplete. We'll go ahead and press enter, and there we go. That should get us installed, and that's pretty much all it is to it, guys, working with the system that I'm working with here using that Digirig Lite. Now, what we do want to do is we're going to run sudo system ctl status graywolf.service. Let's go ahead and press return right there, and you'll see that it is enabled, but it doesn't look like it's running. It shows that it's inactive. Now, two ways you can go about this. You can just simply reboot your machine, and that will become active, or you can run sudo system ctl start.graywolf or start space graywolf.service. We'll go ahead and do that. That should have started it. Now, if we look at the status of it again, you'll see that it is active and running. So that means that it is actually up and running on this particular Pi, which means we actually no longer need to be in the terminal to complete the rest of this. Let's go back over to our web browser. Now, this browser and this computer is on the exact same Wi-Fi network as the Raspberry Pi that's running this Graywolf. So I'm going to type graywolf.local. And I believe that's :8080. Let's see if that doesn't work for us. That should bring it up. It'll take it just a second so it can so that it can resolve that graywolf.local. And the reason I'm able to use that to navigate to it is because that is the host name that I have chosen on this Pi. So you'll see the host name right here. So that graywolf.local should resolve to the Raspberry Pi. If not, you would need to know your IP address, so we can type right here hostname space -I, and that gives us the IP address right here in IP4, or if you want IP6, it gives it to you right there. Now, the first time you try to log into this, you are going to need to set a username and password. So I'm just going to use my call sign right there, and then we'll give it a password twice. Once you've got that done, just go ahead and click Create Account. And then you'll be presented with a screen right here so you can go ahead and sign in. At this point, we're in. Now we just need to start configuring everything. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is come down to Station Call Sign on the left-hand side and go ahead and give this my call and an SSID. In my particular case, I'm going to use -15 for this particular setup today. Once you've got that typed in, just go ahead and click Save, and that will save your call sign. Now, let's go back to the top on the AGW. Let's go ahead and enable this, and I'm going to put my call sign right here. Click Enable, and just go ahead and click Save. This way, if you want to attach something like Yak to the AGW interface, you'll be able to do that. Next up, we need to click on Audio Devices. You'll see that we have nothing configured here right now. Now remember, I'm running that Digirig Lite, and by the way, guys, I'll leave links to everything down in the description below. Let's go ahead and click Detect Devices, and you'll see that we get a couple of them that are different colored. So this is our default here and here, but this one is the one we're looking for, that CM108 and CM108. This is the output, this is the input. So let's go ahead and just left click on this one right here, and we should be able to leave all of this as default and just click Add. So that gives us our input, and now we should be able to do the same for output. Left click and leave everything at default, click Add. Now, next up, let's go ahead and click on Channels, and we're going to add a channel here. Now, you can do this a couple of different ways, but I'm going to use, for this particular setup, the modem-backed channel type right here. For this, I'm just going to put VHF APRS, just like it suggests. We'll leave the modem type as AFSK. Now, for the mode, you've got a couple of different options here. You can do APRS only, you can do packet only, or you can do APRS plus packet. So I'm going, even though we're building just an APRS machine, I am going to choose APRS plus packet right here. For the input device, oh, by the way, that will allow us to do a packet connection with this system if we decided to at a later date and time. Today, we're just worried about APRS. Right below that, we've got the receive input device right here and the input channel. We'll leave those alone because we've already basically configured that. Right here under transmit, though, we need to change this so that it's using that CM108 USB audio device. We can leave all of this set at default, and we should just be able to click Create. I don't think I missed anything. Yep, let's go ahead and click Create right there, and that gives us our channel. Next up, we need to tell the system how we're going to handle PTT. So right down here on the bottom left, let's just click PTT, and this gets even easier. If you'll see, it says right here, this is recommended for PTT. It has recognized that CM108 audio interface and has already looked to see what's the typical way that that is triggered. So I believe we can just left click on that. We'll leave everything right here alone. With the Digirig, you don't have to invert the polarity. So let's just click Save right here, and that should give us our PTT. Now, if you'd like, you can go ahead and just click this button and verify that the radio goes into transmit mode. Mine did, so we should be good to go right there. And that's it. Guys, we have a very basic station up and running and configured. Now, I'm going to jump over and show you how to do the Digipeater here in just a second. But as far as a basic station goes, we've got it. So I'm going to go up to Messages real quick. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, let's take a look at the dashboard, and let's look at this meter right here. This is your audio meter telling you your audio sound level coming in and coming into the Pi. Make sure this is roughly halfway, but definitely make sure it's in the green. If it's pegged out all the way over here and it's red, or if it's non-existent, which means it's all the way to the left, well, you need to adjust the volume on the HT itself so that this comes right into this middle-ish area. And you'll see we are already receiving packets from my local area here. Now, let's go ahead and give this a quick test by going up to Messages. I'm going to hit the plus button right here, or you could select this right here. Either way, let's just send a quick message to WXBot. And let's give it the word today. And I see my radio transmit. We'll go ahead and highlight this right up here. I should see an acknowledgement here in just a second. There's the acknowledgement indicated by those 2 check marks. And in just another second, I should see the weather report come right back into this Raspberry Pi system. So a basic system is up and running on RF, and we could use this however we see fit. Sending messages, looking at the map. Of course, we do have the live map in here, so you can see it's already pulling stations in to the map. So we've got the map, we've got the dashboard, we can do messaging. So a basic setup is already complete. But now let's look at what we want to do to make this a Digipeater as well. So let's come right down here to Digipeater. All right, so right up at the top, let's go ahead and click Enable. You are going to get this to pop up as soon as we do that. It says No Rules Configured. We'll get to that in just a second. You want to use your station's call sign more than likely, so I'm just going to leave that checked. And the dedupe we should probably leave set at roughly 30 seconds. Now, we do need to configure a rule. So let's go ahead and click on this Add Rule right here. Now, we're not going to look at bridging to another channel. That's a bit of a more advanced topic. We just want to repeat it on the same channel. So that means we're using the same radio and audio interface that the packet is heard on to repeat it back out over, which is this VHF APRS modem that we created a few minutes ago. Now, in 99.9% of the cases, you want to just run this as a fill-in home digi. The only time this might be different is if you're putting this on a mountaintop that is got some really good elevation. But for the vast majority of people, Wide 1.1 is what you want, and that's the fill-in digi for home urban area. You do want to make sure that this rule is enabled, and we just want to click Create. Let's go ahead and click the Save Settings right here, and you now have a Digipeater configured. Now, if you're going to run a Digipeater, you also probably want to tell this thing to beacon. The first thing we need to do, though, I'm running a GPS on this device. It's just one of the little, I think they're $8, $9, $10. It's a USB GPS. I'm going to go ahead and click on GPS right down here at the bottom, and then let's go ahead and check this, or click this Detect Devices, and you'll see that it brought up the GPS unit right here. So we just need to click on that, and we can accept the defaults and click Configure right here, and that has the GPS up and running. Now we can go back to our dashboard and see if this has a lock. It doesn't look like it has a lock yet, but we do have this configured. Since I'm indoors, it might take this thing quite a while to get a lock. We're not going to wait on that for the time being. Let's go ahead and click on beacons. Now, I should say if you wanted a beacon to be added to just a basic station, you could follow these same steps without adding that Digipeater. But now that we've got the Digipeater configured, we definitely want a beacon for the station. If this is going to be a moving station, then you could use smart beaconing just by enabling it right here on the screen. However, this is going to be a fixed station for me, so I'm going to choose Add a beacon right up here at the top, and this allows us to just enable a timed beacon. Now, I do want to use the latest fix from GPS since I've got the GPS device connected. That way, if I take this in the RV with me, as soon as it gets a GPS fix, it's going to update the location that I'm using. And the interval every 600 seconds is probably going to be fine. I never check this also send to APRS IS. I only want this going out over RF. We are doing a position report, so we want to leave this checked here. The modem is the one we want to use. We don't need to put anything here because we're not going to override our station call. The destination, leave this alone. This is pre-configured for this particular software. Now, your path, you can choose to either run wide 1.1, wide 2.1, or you can just leave this at wide 1.1, which is where I typically run mine. I don't need to get my station out over multiple hops. Usually one hop is sufficient for covering the majority of Middle Tennessee. You can go ahead and choose your symbol from the table right here. I'm just going to leave mine set to house for right now, and you can choose your position report format. I'm just going to use compressed, which gives us the highest precision. Down here is the comment that goes out with each of your beacons, and I'm just going to leave this set to this Graywolf /version, which will automatically put the version of Graywolf that I'm running in my comment section, but set this however you would like to. After we've got that done, let's just go ahead and click create. And whenever my GPS decides to get a lock, it will go ahead and beacon. If you've got a GPS fix, then you can click beacon now, and it will go ahead and send out that beacon. Now, let's take one last look at the iGate. We're not going to cover the iGate in this particular video, other than to tell you it's in this section. You do need to enable it, and after you've enabled it, you do need to come over here and create some rules. But rules is kind of going beyond the scope of this video. And honestly, I seldom run an iGate in a portable station like I intend this to be. Typically, I'm going to rely on the iGates that are already in my area.
Now, if the iGate is something that you just have to have, I would recommend that you read through the documentation or head over to the Discord group that Chris has set up for this particular project. If you found today's information helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3.